you doing? I'm a skeptic. Anyways, I'm also an atheist, agnostic, atheist, and other labels, probably. Sometimes I'm a nitwit, sometimes I'm an asshole, sometimes I'm a little bit of this and that. But what I usually am is jaded. But none of that matters. What I'm going to do today is review this video. I'm not really going to review it. I'm going to play the video, then I'm going to respond to it. I don't know what it is that I'm doing anymore. I never knew what it was I was doing in the first place. Anyways, these two nitwits don't know how to respond to an atheist. So me, an actual atheist, is going to tell them how to talk to atheists. Rather than talking about us, I'd like for them to talk to us. And rather than just like have what we say go in one ear and out the other, I want them to actually pay attention and listen to us and comprehend or try to comprehend what it is we're telling them. But these two don't understand anything about anything, and this is 9,001% proof of that. What? Over 9,000? Oh my god! Anyways, here's their video where they don't understand anything. As soon as I play it, any moment now, I will get it on the screen. Here we go. Here it is. Let's go.
An atheist, I think maybe there might be a little pivot we see among atheists, and maybe we can apply our tactical game plan to this idea. So, and I've seen this a bunch where it used to be maybe that atheists were saying God does not exist. Well, now they've pivoted a little bit and they're saying, well, I simply lack a belief in God, or I just believe in one less God than you do. They say, hey, Christian, you have rejected all of this, the polytheistic religions, you've rejected the Hindu gods, you've rejected this and that. But I just believe in one, I lack a belief in one less God than you do. And it's almost like they've pivoted to make room for them not to be making some kind of a statement about objective reality. But how can we take our street smarts, our tactical game plan, and apply it to the atheist who would say, well, I just simply lack a belief in God?
Wow, that's one complicated question you've asked with several moving parts to it. I guess questions don't have moving parts. I don't know what that means. So, a complex question. Many questions were asked in one. How do I respond to somebody that lacks a belief in God? Have atheists pivoted from saying there's no God to a lack of belief in God? Also, they've said this thing of I just believe in one less God than you do. So that's a lot of things at once. So let's take each of that in chunks here. So the lacking of belief in God, there's two versions of the word atheist, like it or not, which is there is no God and I don't believe in God. So one is a definitive statement, the other is a statement about my lack of belief, my not having an active belief in a thing. That is a statement about reality, by the way. Alisa seems to think that we're not saying anything about reality when we are. I'm saying, look, it is really true that I don't have a belief in God. I'm a number of labels, or that is to say, I'm a number of things, and a lot of labels apply to me. Skeptic, atheist, agnostic, atheist. That last one there being relevant. Atheist is but I kind of like a weaker version of atheist, I suppose. Atheism is the position that the concept God or the word God is so undefined and too broadly defined by too many people in too many ways that the word God just is incoherent, doesn't have any actual meaning. And because of that, even using the word God is just meaningless. So I think that there are meanings to God, but I do agree that the word God is somewhat meaningless in one sense, because I don't know what somebody means when they say God, because so many different people use that word in different ways. And so I don't even know what you mean necessarily when you say God. So in that respect, I have to not believe in that because I don't know what it is. My state of belief in regards to a word or concept that I've never heard of has to be none. You know, wiggle sauce. Do you believe in wiggle sauce? I don't know. I'm not you, so I can't answer that question. I would answer it. No, I don't know what the bleep wiggle sauce is. I don't believe in it, but I'm not saying that it isn't. I'm not saying that I believe that there is no wiggle sauce. I don't have an active belief regarding wiggle sauce. You're going to have to tell me what that is and how that works and how you know what it is, etc., for me to be able to form a view on it or an opinion on it or a statement about it or anything else about it. So I'm happy to say that a number of different gods don't exist. But those gods are specifically defined in different ways that I can say that to. So in the case of certain specific versions of God, I would say that God doesn't exist. Yahweh doesn't exist. At least the Yahweh that I understand from the Bible. If the Yahweh follows the outline that I've been provided by some apologists, some theists over time. Now, I could be wrong about that version of Yahweh. You might have a different version of Yahweh than my version of Yahweh. So when I say Yahweh, I mean a specific version of Yahweh that doesn't exist. And I'm happy to say it doesn't exist. And I'm happy to say that because I have a logical argument that demonstrates the incompatibility of its existence with its own criteria of existing. So I can lay out that argumentation, and that's all that is. It is an argumentation of why it isn't. But the properties that must be true for that God to not exist, only matter if you believe that those properties are true. If you don't, then okay, maybe it does. I don't know. It depends on what God is. And so we're right back to the second part of what I say or what I mean when I say atheist. Because in regards to theism, there's lots of God beliefs out there. So I don't believe in God, and also for some gods, I believe that there isn't a God, depending on what you mean by God. I would say that anything, including God, that is paradoxical in nature, I wouldn't believe in, and that any illogical being, I wouldn't believe in. And so if God is posited as an illogical being, then I wouldn't believe in it. If your God requires me to deny some aspect of reality, say biological evolution, the age of the earth, the age of the universe, things that are being quantified and are understood by science, then I'm not going to believe in that God. I'm going to say that God is false. If your God requires me to believe absurdities, then I'm not going to believe in it. So it just depends on what you think God is. So that's the lack of belief of God. I'm kind of forced into it because of the ambiguity of the word God. You don't seem to really understand that, perhaps. I would think, listening to the rest of this video. I don't think you do. Then the next part, you said the atheists have said this thing of I just simply, we both are atheists, I just go one God further. And this has been said, I guess Dawkins has said it and some other people have said this. And this isn't an argument. This isn't gotcha. This is simply to try to get you to comprehend what it's like to be an atheist. You kind of are an atheist in regards to every other God. So any God that isn't the God that you think is real is one that you actively don't believe in. Now, maybe you also say that God doesn't exist. And so both could be true, or only one could be true. It is to say, You know, if you say it doesn't exist, then obviously you don't believe that it exists either, unless you're really weird and wacky, which you could be. But at any rate, you don't believe that Thor exists as a god or as a semi-god, or Zeus doesn't exist. But you also might say that Zeus actually doesn't exist, on top of you believing that lacking a belief that it does exist. You might actually say that it doesn't exist, or you might say it just doesn't exist, and that's it, full stop. The Muslim god Allah, you might say, well, I don't believe in that, but I'm not saying it doesn't exist, because there's some wiggle room there. Or maybe you say that no god but yours exists. Okay, but however you frame that, you are an atheist in regards to every god except for the one you believe in. In the way that it means to be an atheist, the important way that it is to be an atheist, when you consider your relationship with any other god, how much time, energy, or effort do you spend thinking about those gods, worrying about those gods? I don't know. Might be a little, might be a lot. You might debate people about those gods. But in regards to Hi Trusty Ape, in regards to that, wasn't part of what I was going to say, but Trusty Ape showed him in chat, so in regards to God, or in regards to the other gods, you don't believe, so you're an atheist, okay? And all I'm saying is, you understand that, okay? You already understand what that's like. So all I'm saying is, we're kind of the same. It's just I also don't believe in your God. That from my perspective, your God is like all those other gods, and from my perspective, your God is as unbelievable as all those other gods. From my position, the evidence for your God is the same as the evidence for all those other gods. For me, that would be none, because I don't think there is any evidence of God, and they're going to get into that. So it's just to get you to understand what it's like to be an atheist to some degree. Okay, it's to help you to put yourself in our shoes. Okay, that's all that statement is. It's not a debate tactic. It's not an argument. It's just for you to get to sympathize, or if you will, or empathize with the other person, to try to what does it feel like to not believe in Shiva the Destroyer? Well, whatever feelings you have about that, you can compare that non-belief in your head and say, yeah, that I don't believe in that. It doesn't bother me that I don't believe in it. I haven't really even read that much about it. I don't know anything about it. Whatever, why would I believe in it? What you got about it? And so whatever thoughts and feelings you have about that, I want you to kind of like go, hey, that's how he feel, or that's how I feel about your God as well. So it's to get you to kind of like understand us better. That's all that is. Okay. But you instead of understanding any of that, you mistakenly think in your straw man construct that you've made that this is some sort of argument or whatever. And it's so funny, because you're saying, how do I talk to an atheist, or how do I respond to an atheist, or how do I respond to somebody who just lacks a belief in God, in quotes? I don't know why you put it in quotes. I don't know. Just respond to them like anybody else. Okay, cool. Okay, you don't believe in God. You lack a belief in God. And, all right, so what? But what they're saying is, how do I do apologetics to that person? How do I preach the good word to them? Because I want them to believe what I believe. So how do I do that? That's what the question really is. How do I proselytize to somebody that just lacks a belief in God? What tactic do I use? What strategy will work? How do I convince them? Right? Okay, sure. but that's not how you phrased it. And so by saying this, you kind of already indicate you don't really understand atheists even a little. And then what else did you say? Here, I might have to go back a bit.
One less God than you do. And it's almost like they've pivoted to make room for them not to be making some kind of a statement about objective reality. But how can we take our street smarts, our tactical game plan, and apply it to the atheist who would say, well, I just simply lack a belief in God?
Well,
okay, so yeah, there's some tactics, some street smarts or whatever. In other words, how do I use apologetics? What do I do? How do I copy and paste this broken argument in this scenario? Well, here's an idea. How about just accept that the person doesn't believe in God and go about your day? That's one way. Who cares? Why should it matter? Well, it shouldn't. Doesn't matter, does it? How to copy pasta? Control C, Control P. You know this, nerdy rodent. You're the expert in all those things. There's your next AI art project. Make a entity that is copy pasta. AI generation of whatever that would look like. Anyways, so yeah, but yeah, this is how do I evangelize to these people? How do I do it? Ooh, because it's so hard, it's so hard to do that, right? Anyway, so what nitwittic thing is he going to say in response to all this?
You actually conflated 2 points
okay.
that I talked about it, and let me just take the second one is like I believe in one. I disbelieve in one less. No, I believe in one less
Lack of
God.
belief.
However, they
Or,
put it,
I believe in one less God than you, something like that.
something like.
Yeah, I mean, I can really see that you've given a lot of thought and energy on what the atheist has even said. By the way, this is maybe a handful of atheists that have ever said this at best. At least, known atheists. I guess some people online have said it. I don't know. But it really seems like you really, like you really wrote that down. You really committed it to memory there. No, I'm just kidding. Seems like you don't even know what it is that they said. I don't know. If it was me, I would have it in front of me to know exactly what it is that I want to respond to, and then just respond to it, and even maybe try to steelman it. Make it a better argument than what it is, or whatever, or actually try to understand it. I don't know how famous either of these 2 people is, but I mean, if they're famous-ish enough, or if they have enough resources, I don't imagine that it would be beyond their ability to contact Dawkins, who said this, and say, "What did you mean by that?" and actually get a response from the man himself. And maybe they tried and failed to do that, but then ask somebody that that has said that, and see what they say about it. Why not ask an atheist what they mean by that, rather than go, I guess that's what they said. I don't know, whatever. It's in my book. Oh, jeez. Okay, let's go. Let's whatever.
Yeah, but the point is, you reject all these other jobs. You don't believe in them, and I don't believe in one more than you don't believe. And the implication is, and Richard Dawkins has said this, and others have used this. They think this is so profound, and so my.
Well, there's an assumption there, isn't it? They think that it's so profound. How do you know what they think? Did you ask them that, or are you just assuming that that's the case? Did they act like it was really profound? No. So this is, again, you're creating a straw man. It's what's called a construct straw man, in order to make your argument seem like a good one when it isn't. And clearly you're just not understanding what the atheist meant, or what they might be meaning, or conveying by this, and you're pretending like it's an argument even though it's not. And all you're doing now is creating a straw man that poisons the well, and so that you can, it's like, look, man. Okay. Anyways.
Question at that point is, I affirm it. Yes, you're right. Why is that significant?
It's not. It's just I'm trying to have you empathize with me. I'm trying to get you to understand what it's like to be an atheist. That's all. It's you actually do seem to recognize that it's not an argument.
They're trying to make a point here. And they think that, and basically some have said, well, you're basically an atheist too. All right.
Right.
But you just have one less God that you reject, and I reject them all. Okay. And it's almost like they're equating all of these other gods and deities to the God of the Bible. And
You got it. That's exactly it. From my perspective, the God of the Bible is as true as every other God out there, which is to say, not true. Okay? The God of the Bible, from my perspective, is no different than any other God that I know it matters to you. You believe in that God. But this isn't about you. This is about what the other person said. Look, in order to understand what it's like to be me, to some extent, what it's like to be an atheist, okay, think about what you feel, what you think about when you think about Zoroastrianism. I don't know what god they had, or but what do you think about that god? Or hey, I'll pick one out of the sky here. How about the lobsterist? There's a god you've never heard. Well, it's called Lod, Lod, Lod. What do you think of Lod? It sounds like Lord or God because reasons, but Lod. So you have to really hit that Lod. What do you think of Lod, Lod? What the hell are you talking about? Never heard of it, right? It's in the lobsterist. Well, do you believe in it? No, they've never heard of it. So they can't believe in it if they've never heard of it. Hey, here's a book. Read it. Why should I? I don't care what it says. Well, all right, cool. But that's where it talks about it. And so you don't believe in that, right? You don't want to give it any attention. You don't care, whatever. And you might find it that if enough people believe in Lod, that it starts messing with your life, that then, it might be worth talking about. If enough people believed in Lod where they wanted to vote in certain ways, or they protested stuff that you enjoy, or they said stuff that you just thought was not true, they disagreed with things that you agree with, whatever, they were saying stuff that you just found to be unsavory or untrue. Perhaps they were promoting pseudoscience, or perhaps they were giving bad advice like don't wash your hands or don't worry about washing your hands, because really all that matters is what comes out of your mouth. What goes into your mouth doesn't matter at all. Only worry about what comes out of your mouth, because that's what you're going to be judged on. If they said stupid, insane things like that, you might be worried enough about them to make videos about them, to talk about them or whatever, but you wouldn't believe in Lod, right? And there you go. That's what it means. That's what it's like to be an atheist. You just don't believe in the thing, but you have reasons to talk about it despite that. And that's all it's doing. It's like you kind of got it. Yes, your God, from the atheist perspective, is on the same level as every other God. You got it. Same thing. You got it, man. You almost are there, but you're kind of like you're making your God to be special or something. But remember, it's not about your perspective, it's about their perspective. But you don't know how to talk to atheists or understand atheists, so keep going. Yeah, by all means.
so I said, well, yes, you're right. That's actually the difference between an atheist and a theist, that the atheist believes in one less God, or whatever, however you put it, rejects one all the gods, not just the. So I want to ask him, okay, so
Get it! You can't even get it right! You don't even know it! Like, how is this so hard? I believe him. We are both atheists. I just go one God further. There you go. That's one version of it. It wasn't that hard. Oh, whatever.
would you say that I'm basically a bachelor? No, you're married. But there's millions and billions of women that I have rejected and I'm not married to.
And you're stupid. So your broken analogy here doesn't work on any conceivable level because women actually exist, unlike gods. And in regards to those women that you've rejected, they actually existed. And you actually had an opportunity to reject them because I'm sure that you've rejected plenty of women before you met your wife. Yeah, right. And I'm married to a wonderfully cute Japanese girl or two. Also, I'm rich. Why not? Anyways, but yeah, your analogy doesn't work. Okay, bottom line, your analogy is broken and doesn't work. It's not like that, not even a little bit. Okay. Do you believe in entities that have wings that are vaguely human in appearance? Maybe you do. Maybe you don't. Now that's a kind of classical depiction of angels as these humans, but they have wings and they have a halo. But then there's the biblical angels that have eyes everywhere and they look like something that you would probably find in Arkham setting. What's his name? H.P. Lovecraft setting. So maybe that, but do you believe that those things are real, or do you believe that those are like fantastical ideas, or what? I don't know. But other angel descriptions that are out there that people do have wild beliefs on angels, guardian angels, and this and that about. There's like books on angels and who's your angel and how to figure out your guardian angel and all this sort of stuff that's within the vein of spirituality, but might be outside of typical theology. Do you believe in those angels as stated by those books? Probably not. I would imagine. I don't know. I'm guessing. Okay. But do you reject them, or do you just not believe in them? Have you ever verified them? No, you don't believe in them. So it's like that, but also the angel that you do believe in, I don't believe in that angel as well as all the other angels. That's what this is. So there's a better analogy that actually works because basically it's the same thing. I'm just stating it in a different way, because I'm keeping it in the vein of the supernatural realm where it belongs, unlike the mundane realm of women who actually exist and you can actually verify. Although if we are talking about women that you rejected, then I don't believe in those women as much as I don't believe in God, which is like 9,001%, because I don't think that you rejected any woman ever. I don't think you ever were afforded the opportunity to reject a woman. I think that the women rejected you. Oh, yeah, that happened for sure. But not the other way around, buddy. Unless you were far more handsome than you are now. Or, I don't know, you're packing a lot of money, or like you put socks in your pants or something was going on. I just don't believe that about you as a person. I could be wrong about that belief, but if we're going that route, sure, why not? Now I've got to picture you in tight jeans with giant socks in your pants, looking all handsome, and reject this woman. Oh no, not you, not you, not you, not you. Oh man, why do I got to picture you like that now? It's kind of like, it's almost as bad as how I normally picture Nerdy Rodent looking. Hold on a second. Okay. No, hold on. Whew, okay. Whew. Woo! All right. Back to reality there. Is it hot in here? Woo! Oh man.
I am just married to a bachelor is just married to is has one less woman,
Right.
in his life. I'm trying to remember the exact words that they have in the Street Swords book. So does that?
You can't even remember the words you have in your own book? I mean, that'd be like me not remembering words I wrote in my own book. Shit, I can't do that. But come on, man.
That mean I'm basically a bachelor? He said, no, you're married. I said, exactly. That's my point. No, that's not.
Wait. You said exactly. So now you're pretending that this is a conversation that you had? You never had that conversation.
Particularly profound. It's not a long conversation. It's just meant to show that this is a really silly thing to say. Yes, of course.
No, it's not silly. I'm trying to get you to... fuck it. I already said what it is.
Of course you believe in one less God than I do, or whatever, however you put it. But that doesn't mean that the God I believe in doesn't exist.
No kidding. Yeah, that's not what it's supposed to do, you nitwit. Oh my goodness gracious.
And I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to equate all of these gods. You don't believe in Zeus?
Yeah, right.
Because I have no reason to believe in Zeus.
Right. You almost got it. You almost are there. Keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Why do you think that I believe in the God I believe in and not in?
I don't know. I don't know why you believe in the God that you believe in, but you're almost there. You just needed to keep going with other gods. You don't believe in Zeus. Okay. You don't believe in, Shiva the Destroyer. You don't believe in Allah, right? And then when it comes to Yahweh, I don't believe in Yahweh. Okay? That's all I'm saying. And the way that you don't believe in those gods is the same thing over here. Just your God is the same to me as all those other gods. Okay? Do you understand it now? You almost did. You were real close, but then you got stupid again.
And Zeus. See, there's a question. Oh, I don't know. There's no evidence or something. You say, well, wait, let me ask you a few questions. And by the way, I'm just moving now into another part of the book, because a lot of atheists will say, well, there's no evidence for God.
Okay. Now I have to warn you. Maybe you have earphones on. I don't know. You should have learned your lesson by now, listening to me yell at the beginning of my videos. But I'm going to warn you. I'm going to yell. And it's going to be real loud. And I'm going to get mad. Oh, yeah. I know what's going to happen, because I already saw this part of the videos. I'm warning you. Okay? Okay. Just I'm preparing myself for it. Because it's so stupid. All right. We're going to rewind a little bit and let them wind up to the pitch of stupidity, and then I'm going to yell at it.
A lot of atheists will say, well, there's no evidence for God. All right. Well, this is actually a very silly statement. And I'm not trying to be just, baldly condescending, but just because they're not convinced by the evidence doesn't mean there isn't evidence.
There isn't evidence. All you ever have is bad arguments. That's it. You don't have evidence.
Thousands of years, thoughtful people have been writing arguments.
Arguments are evidence! Why? Oh my God, arguments are not evidence. Arguments aren't evidence. Arguments aren't evidence. Hold on. I need to get in shape here, man. Whew. Oh, man. Oh. Oh, okay. All right. No, hold on. Hold on. This way. Okay. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. All right. Arguments aren't evidence. Not even a little. They aren't evidence. Arguments aren't evidence. Arguments aren't evidence. The end.
Regarding God, that's all evidence. It's not nothing. Okay.
No. 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 No, 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 no. No, no, no. No. Arguments have not and will not ever be evidence. Period. So stop saying they are. Clearly, you don't know what the word evidence means at this point. Tell you what, go to the bank and tell the bank, a bank, doesn't even have to be your bank. In fact, it's probably better if it isn't your bank. And just tell them you've got $10,000 in an account and you'd like to withdraw that $10,000. And they're going to be like, okay, I need to see your ID. And say, well, I've got an argument for you. And then proceed with whatever wackadoodle argument you can come up with and see how far that gets you. Tell you what, go to, I don't know, a police officer, go to the police station and find a police officer. Be like, hey, look, I know somebody that should be arrested, and I've got a great argument for why. See how well that goes, yeah, go to a court and just be like, hey, I've got a court, you might actually be able to get away with an argument there. But would it be evidence or just an argument or testimony? What would they call it? I wonder. But yeah, arguments are not evidence. And hello, Pragmatic Crystal. You missed where I ran around back and forth screaming at the top of my lungs. So should I do it again for Pragmatic Crystal's benefit? Or should I make her watch it again or watch from the start so that she sees it? What should I do? I don't know what I should do. I'm going to keep listening. No, you know what? I think I should do it. I think I should. Oh, God. Oh, it's a bad idea. I really shouldn't because it wore me out the first time. Oh, well, she'll watch it. It's fine. Whatever.
Okay. But I actually had this question once during a Q&A. And the question was,
no, you didn't.
Give me proof for God. It was actually a request, not a question.
Okay.
Prove to me that God exists. Well, this is a hard way when people ask a question that way because they're asking for proof and you don't know what amounts to proof in their mind, and you might ask for clarification. So what do you mean by that question? So when you say prove to me that God exists, what would count as proof to you?
What you got? But I do agree, natural language is a funny thing and it is difficult, and so yeah, clarification, that's fine. But why not just give them what you got? But if that's a question, I'm assuming that you had a long talk that you gave before they asked the question. And then from there to say, give me proof of God, indicates to me that during your talk, you offered no proof of God. So it must have been that nothing you said was actually proof, at least to their perspective. So maybe you didn't have proof or evidence or anything at all. But yeah, continue on with your story that totally happened for sure. At least you're not sitting next to them on a plane or something.
All right. That's a fair question. But I actually don't go there because what they're going to do is give me some bizarre kind of evidence that they would never require for anything else.
Right.
How do you know that? It's amazing how much he knows about this person. Pragmatic Crystal's like, she saw what it did. Yeah. It's amazing though, isn't it? Well, give her a moment or two to catch up. Let's just wait for Crystal. This is good. This is great live streaming. This will be great later on. This will make sense. Trust me. Okay. All right. That's long enough. Quality content only on Deconverted Man. Whee! Nothing I do makes sense. All right. Or does it? Maybe all the things I do make sense. I don't know. Oh man, I really wore myself out by running back and forth. Why did I do that? Seemed like a good idea at the time. Oh, anyways, I blame Nerdy Crystal for that, and Pragmatic wrote it. That's who I blame. Anyways, what was it? Oh, right. So yeah. What they're gonna ask for? So the person says, "I want proof of God," and I'm not gonna ask them what they mean, because then they're gonna give me an absurd thing for evidence that they wouldn't ever give for anything else. Wow, really? You just know that? That's amazing. You didn't even. You said, "Aha! You asked for proof." I know now you're gonna say some ludicrous thing of evidence that you wouldn't want for anything else. Oh, I know that, so I'm not going to answer your question. I'm not going to give you proof, because you're just going to say this thing, because he just knows that about this person. He just knows what the person's going to say or do. It's amazing how his mind reading works like that. Or maybe, I don't know, he doesn't know any of that stuff. But I'll tell you what, nitwit. Here I am, an actual atheistic person, skeptic, whatever the hell I am at this point. Here's what I require for God. Proof, evidence, however you want to call that. The same thing that I've got for anything else. That's what would prove God. Okay? The things that I have that prove everything else, that's what I would like for God. Now, what things do I have proof of? For example, here's a TV screen that I can't... There we go. Here we go. There's a TV screen. Nice TV screen. It didn't really electrocute me. That was just a joke. Did that scare you? I don't know. Actually, electrocution would be like this. And then it'll be like that, or I'd fall over and be dead. That'd be great. Great entertainment. Anyways, yeah, but that's a TV screen, right? And you know what proof I have of it? It's there. Look, there it is. There you go. So that works, you know. So do I have that for God? No? Okay, then I don't believe in God. And that is, I have that requirement for like everything. Look, I can see that. I believe in that. I believe in that and that and that and that and that, because I can see it. And not only can I see the damn things, but also, if I wanted to, I could test them. And not just me, but like other people can see it and other people can test it. So these two things are pretty damn important to me. So I need to be able to verify it in some way, shape, or form. I need to be able to visualize it in some way. We call that empirical evidence. That's what that's called. When you can visualize any given phenomenon, that's what that is. Now, it doesn't have to be the naked eye, because some things are really small and things are far away. And, you know, maybe you need infrared or whatever to see it. Or, you know, okay, fine. But I need some way to visualize it. So you got that for God? No. Okay. All right. Well, that's a problem. We got no way to visualize God at all. That's what you're telling me. Okay, that's weird, but okay. So what do we have? Do we have the other thing that I required, which was a test? I can run tests on this TV. I can run tests on my walls and my ceiling and my lamp and my hair and this blue sheep and all, you know, I can run all sorts of tests on all sorts of things, and so can anybody else. So can I run any test at all on God? Can I run a test on God that has a fail condition, that where if I do X and I expect Z result, and Z result doesn't happen, then that means God failed the test, and that means there isn't a God. Is there any test like that, or any sort of test for that matter, that I can perform on God? Because I can perform all sorts of tests on all sorts of objects that really exist for real. No. Okay, well then I don't believe in God, because I can't verify it empirically, and I can't test it. Now, your only possible recourse, maybe, would be if you had some sort of other way for me to verify it. I don't know what the bleep that would be. If it's not empirical observation or repeated testing, what would you have to offer? Not much. Maybe you could offer a valid and sound argument, though. That would be something to go on. And that would be more in the realm of things that are historical in nature, things that happened in the past that maybe we don't have a way to test, certain things or whatever. But, maybe all we have is some writings. Okay, cool. Well, we can verify that the writings are things. We can check those with other records. We can do something there, right? Okay, so that's fine. That would be something to explore. All right. So regarding that, then, in order to know that it's real history as opposed to what we would label as mythology, there has to be a system that we apply to things that are written down. And that if things say certain things, certain keywords, if you will, then we put that into the category of myth or fiction. And if they don't have those keywords, then maybe they're real, but maybe not. But they're at least plausible. They're at least possible now. So if you have the word magic in there, or maybe you have teleportation, might be a word that you would expect to find in sci-fi. So that's fantasy, but you might find the word teleportation in a scientific paper. It just depends on the context, right? Depends what it says about it, right? But if you have a human who is doing something that no human has ever done, ever, and has never been observed doing, has never been shown to be able to do, then there's going to be problems there. We're going to have to doubt that human did those things. If you then make the claim that, well, it's not actually a human, it's actually a god doing those things, okay, well, then that put your thing into the category of mythology. So that put you right back on, it's just another claim that I can't verify. That's how that works. So unless your God can beat out all the other gods in regards to the sort of evidence that we have for, other gods, which is nothing but writings, that's all you've got. I know that. All you have to show your God is the same that any other religion has. A bunch of writings and beliefs about it. That's it. You make a big deal out of it. You pretend that it's special or unique. It might be unique, but that doesn't make it true. It might, it's not that impressive of a story. It's pretty much a combination of other stories that exist already. It's not really that unique, but whatever. Okay, it's derivative. It's full of plot holes and contrivances, and it's written from an all-seeing narrator perspective. It has people reporting on their own deaths, which I find interesting. Like clearly, whoever wrote Acts was not like you got one of them where he loses his head, right? So that guy couldn't have written it, right? It had to have been somebody else that was there, unless they weren't there and they just heard about it, which means they're not an eyewitness. They're now basically they heard this story from somebody else. And how far removed is that from the actual event? Now I'm starting to doubt that the event actually happened, because now it's just a phone game of story. If I don't have any way to verify it, but yeah, sure, people got their heads cut off. That happens. So I don't really have a reason to doubt it. But if the head starts talking, then I probably have a reason to put that in the category of fiction or mythology. So your religion has books that are old and have no way to verify any of them. And actually, a lot of the stories have been shown to not be true and shown to be amalgamations of previous books, shown to be stories copied from, if not just, directly stolen off of, and then, parodied of other older other stories that are around the same time. Like Genesis, all that. Yeah, that was borrowed and stolen from other stories. Noah, same thing. Moses, totally made up. So we already have to negate a whole bunch of the Bible right off the gate. So it's not looking good for your claim about this God being true and the other gods out there being false or not existent. Not that I'm asking you to disprove those gods. I'm only interested in you proving your God. You can have however many arguments you want, but if they're not valid and sound, I don't give a crap about them. Now, your argument so far hasn't been sound. That is to say, it contains multiple fallacies that I haven't pointed out yet, but actually you haven't even made an argument yet. But I already know that whatever argument you do make is going to have fallacies. And I know that because every time every theist has said anything about God, it's been with fallacies contained. Actually, you alluded to a couple of fallacies already, which is straw manning the atheist. And seems like you have some misunderstandings about atheism. And you're saying, well, but we have all these arguments. That's not nothing. No, actually, it is nothing. And in regards to evidence, because again, arguments aren't evidence. So no, you don't have much of anything to go on. You certainly don't have evidence. You do have bad arguments, but maybe you have a good argument. But if you did have evidence, then just give us the evidence. But don't give us more arguments and pretend that those are evidence when they're not.
So I told him, I said, this puts me at a liability because I don't really know what would be evidence for you or proof for you. Can you rephrase the question? He said, okay, yeah, I can. Can you give me any good reason why someone should believe in God? Okay, I can work with that. Do you mind if I ask you a few questions? Okay. And I had this conversation with a student at the University of Toronto after my presentation. They came.
No, you didn't. This never happened.
To the microphone. I said, okay, these first questions are pretty simple, but just play along with me. Do you believe that things exist?
What?
Now, the guy didn't want to bite because he knew I was going somewhere with it. So finally he said, okay, this microphone exists. And I said, okay, I can work with that. All right. I agree with you. The microphone exists and other things as well. All right. The things that exist, whatever they are, have those things always existed, or did they come into existence at some time in the past?
What does this have to do with your burden of proof regarding God?
Now, this is the origin of the universe kind of question, but I'm just putting it in a very simple way.
Why all of a sudden is there porn music in the background? I'm not doing that. That's their video.
And you look at, nobody believes the universe is eternal anymore. They used to 100 years ago. They don't anymore. The evidence is too strong for the origin of the.
The hell was that about? Unexplained porn music is unexplained. Okay, so the microphone, how do I put it? The components of the microphone have existed for as long as they've existed for. I don't know how long that is. I don't know when the molecules that make up the microphone first came into existence, but they've been around a while. As far as the universe goes, we can tell you a lot about that scientifically, but then we hit a point where we don't know. And the theist loves to just assert that that's God there. And that's nice, but that doesn't prove anything. And it's also interesting. You go, well, the same old script of we used to believe the universe was eternal. Now we don't. Actually, you're wrong about that. That shows me you're not up to date on current cosmology. You haven't listened to the lectures I've listened to. Because I've listened to World Science Festival lectures on cosmology, or they have not just lectures, they have talks with several cosmologists. And one of them was talking about an hourglass universe. And one of them was talking about an antimatter universe. And these are universes that essentially, for all intents and purposes, have always existed. It's just that they taper off into what we see as the starting point of our universe, and then ours goes in the other way, thus the hourglass shape. There you go. Okay. So they've always existed. And under those cosmologies, you'd be wrong. That there are still people that say, yeah, that's possible, and here's the math to back it up. And they've got the scientific papers on that stuff that I don't understand half those papers. But clearly, you don't even know about those papers because you're suggesting that this is an idea that's been done away with when it hasn't. But what is also interesting is you're finding that the universe, you're saying, no, the universe can't have always existed. Okay, cool. Sure, maybe. I don't know. And then you'll have a special pleading required for God. God's always existed, though, but not the universe, but God, but not the universe, but God always existed. See, the universe needs an explanation, but God doesn't need an explanation. That's called special pleading. And we know it's going to happen because we know this script, because we've heard this script, because this is a broken argument, which is all you have to offer. Not evidence, just bad arguments.
The universe. Christians believe in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. And
yeah, I know what Christians believe. And that doesn't prove anything.
Non-Christians believe in Big Bang cosmology. Now, I understand some
non-Christians believe in Big Bang cosmology. What?
Christians are not comfortable with that. Don't get hung up on the word. They are agreeing with us.
Right.
They believe the universe had a beginning.
No, not in the same terms that you're using. If you're going to go straight with the the current cosmology of the Big Bang, it doesn't say a beginning. I know you think it does because you're stupid, but actually, if you read, peer review on it, if you actually read some scientific papers, it doesn't say beginning because there isn't a beginning. This is a problem that apologists just don't seem to comprehend or even pay attention to. It's almost like they've done absolutely no research on the science whatsoever. Now, I'm not a scientist. I'm not a cosmologist. Okay. So I understand that it's difficult to comprehend, but as you get closer to what's called the T1 point, which is time index 1, okay, actually even before then, probably time index 3 that things start to break down, maybe even time index 4. I'm not entirely sure when things start to break down. We'll just say that it's time index 1 for sake of argument, even though I'm probably wrong about that. The universe is freaking hot. I'm talking like it's so bloody hot that we don't even know anymore. Like it's called the Planck temperature. And at these insane temperatures, atoms aren't able to form. There are no atoms. So there are stuff there, but it's not atoms. It's different stuff. So at that point, we don't know what the bleep's going on there because physics kind of relies on atoms and stuff to be physics. And so there isn't a theory or an explanation of what we think is going on that can really handle that yet. Now, string theory is one possibility. There's other ideas out there that can resolve this, but we need a unified quantum gravity and or quantum theory and Einsteinian theory, and all these theories have to merge together. And you need a grand theory of everything, basically, which is something that scientists haven't done yet. And there's a lot of proposals for it. But you're going to come along and just go, oh, well, the Big Bang says there's a beginning, even though it doesn't say that. Not even a little bit. The cosmology papers that are out there, if you actually read them instead of just, glossing over the abstract or whatever. Now, granted, they're hard to access because they're behind paywalls. But if you're, dedicated enough, you can find free versions of those papers online. And you can read them. And then there's places where you can find free information that explains cosmology. Hell, you can even ask AI, even though AI is not to be trusted. But yeah, we don't know if there is or isn't a beginning. And certainly the Big Bang isn't saying that there is a beginning, at least not in the sense that you want it to be saying that. So you're doing a half-truth at best, and at worst, you're doing pseudoscience, which is only doing a disservice to those that you're trying to tell people how to talk to a non-believer like myself. Well, you're just saying nonsense. You're and I'm like, nah, dude, you're wrong about all that stuff. And even if you were right, which I don't think you are, but even if you were right, we're still not on the same page, because the beginning to the universe doesn't mean anything at all, not even a little. It doesn't get you to your God. I know you think it does, but it doesn't. It just means then there was a beginning of the universe, if that's the case. But not only have you not demonstrated that, but actually science doesn't agree with you on that. So I have to go with science and say, you know what? The current answer is, we don't know. That's the actual answer. I know you don't like that. I know you don't want it to be that. I know things because, I'm using my magical mind reading powers on him. But yeah, we don't know is the answer as far as there being a beginning of the universe, at least in the sense that he would need it to be that. But again, even if he's right, which he's not, so what? We're not on the same page, one. And secondly, okay, let's grant tentatively that there's a beginning to the universe. So what? That doesn't mean anything. Where's this going? This still isn't evidence of anything at all. Not even evidence. It's not even evidence, because it's all it is an argument. And it's not even a good argument because you haven't produced the argument. So I don't even know what this is supposed to be, other than, well, I think there's a beginning of the universe. Well, that's nice. That's nice. Pat you on the head. That's just great. That's just wonderful. That's just so cute. Yeah. You're so cute. There isn't. Or if there is, I don't know. Maybe there is. I don't know. I don't have any belief regarding the beginning or non-beginning of the universe. I'll accept whatever the science comes up with. But we don't know yet. So what you got? What's your evidence? You still haven't produced any evidence, nor have you produced any argument. So I really hope you get to that eventually. He's going to do that, right? Because he supposedly, this is how to respond to a person that lacks belief in God, is to waffle on about how the universe may or may not definitely has a beginning, and that everybody agrees with that, even though that's not really the reality of things. But you're banking on the fact that people don't understand science, and then you're hoping that they just believe it because they don't know any better. And then you're hoping to say, well, see, you and I, we really believe the same thing. But it's funny, because earlier when we're like, hey, we're both atheists, except I just believe in one extra God, see, now he got me doing it. We're both atheists. It's just I believe in one less God than you do. You didn't like that, but now you're doing the thing, but you're flipping it around. So whatever. Also, I do notice X High Elf X in chat saying stuff. And they're laughing their ass off and such in chat. But I'm not really reading chat because I'm responding to this video. But if High Elf X would like to set up a talk with me sometime, we can do that. My email is deconvertedman1@gmail.com. You know what? I mean, I could do it today, probably. I mean, I'm in the mood for a talk, yeah. And it wouldn't, we could do an interview. I've done those, or we could do, just, question and answer sort of thing. I ask you questions, you give me answers. You want to ask me questions, let's just be like, I don't know, man, I'm a skeptic. What do you got? I'll tell you things that I can point you towards stuff. But, the difference between a non-believer and a believer is I don't have anything to lose. Because I can be wrong, and that's great. I welcome being wrong, because that means I learned something new. But as a believer, you always have to continue your belief in the thing that you believe in. The moment you stop believing in it, then you're one of us. One of us. We have free cookies. We don't really have cookies. But you don't have evidence for God. I can tell you that much. I can guarantee you, not only do you not have evidence for God, but all you could hope to offer would be bad arguments that I've already heard and debunked many times. But maybe you'll offer something new. I don't think you will, but maybe. Anyways, I'll do a little bit more of this video and maybe I'll be done. I don't know. Been going an hour. It's been long enough.
And so when I ask him about these things always existing, no, they came into existence, he said, like at the Big Bang. Good, I agree with you. They had a beginning. So notice 2 questions so far, we both agree with each other. There's no fight. Here's the third question, and this is the one that really matters, okay? What caused everything to come into existence?
Okay, well, I object to the question because the question contains a hidden assumption. It contains a premise. Questions often contain premises. And so there's a thing called a loaded question in informal logic. It's a logical fallacy where you ask a question that is framed in a way where the straightforward answer to that question would trap you, would commit you to the premises of that question. So when did you stop beating your wife? Well, this assumes a couple of things. First of all, it assumes that you have a wife. And secondly, it assumes that you've been beating her. So if one of those things isn't true, then a straightforward answer of that question is impossible. And so the question is loaded. And so when you ask me what caused it, you're assuming that there is a cause to it, which is something I'm not committed to. I don't know if there was or wasn't a cause. Thus, I cannot answer what caused it because that would be accepting the premise of your question, which I don't. Maybe there was a cause. Maybe there wasn't a cause. I don't know. That would be on you. But don't ask me questions because it's not about me or my beliefs or my ideas or even scientific ones. It is about your burden to demonstrate that this idea that you're talking about is true. And so asking me a question is simply shifting the burden of proof onto me where it doesn't belong. If you're asserting that there's a cause of the universe, great, wonderful. Where's your scientific peer-reviewed paper on that? Oh, right, you don't have one because what you're doing is you're using bad arguments to assert this case. And in this case, you're not even, like I said, he's not even making a proper argument. There's no syllogism here or anything like that. So he's making kind of like a broken argument as he goes. He's like, oh, what caused the universe? And my answer would be, I don't know that there is or isn't a cause. So I don't know the answer to that question. And it's a loaded question. I object to your question. But since he never really asked this because he's lying about this, probably, I don't believe him, but maybe he did ask it. And I don't know what the person answered, but it wasn't me. So I'm telling you my answer now. I don't know. I don't know if it was or wasn't caused. Do you have proof that it was caused? If so, what is that proof? And by proof, I mean actual demonstrable, demonstratable proof, as I covered before, not just assertions, not bad arguments, not bad logic. You need a valid and sound argument. So far, you don't even have a valid argument, let alone a sound one. So you really, literally, at this point, he has no evidence, no repeatable test, and no valid and sound argument. So he's got nothing to offer us. So if he's suggesting that this is the way that you talk to somebody that doesn't believe in God, well, guess what? That person's going to continue to not believe in God after that conversation. So if the goal of the conversation was to have that person walk away, continue to not believe in God, then congratulations, you've succeeded on telling people what to talk to people about who don't believe in God. If you'd rather convince people of your God, then perhaps you need to start listening and paying attention to what people that don't believe in God are telling you that we want. Because we've been telling you this for as long as there's been people claiming that there's been God. And the thing that atheists have been asking for, broadly speaking, hasn't changed. I've been doing this a while now. I started out as a Christian, but then logic hit me in the brain rather than in the knee, which wouldn't make sense because logic is an abstract object that couldn't hit me anywhere. But regardless, I was playing off of Skyrim meme where, I was an adventurer, but then that doesn't matter. Anyways, if you know, you know. But at any rate, I heard these arguments as a Christian. And then when I learned logic and I deconverted, I continued to hear these arguments as an atheist. And they didn't work then, and they don't work now. But you theists, you apologists, keep doing the same old, as if it's going to work. It's not. But that's apologetics scam. It is a sham. It is a shell game. It isn't about convincing the atheists and never has been. It is nothing more than to pretend that you have evidence when you don't, so that you can reassure the current believers that their belief is fine and safe and nothing's going to happen to it. And you can keep on believing because, trust me, this book that I have for sale, is totally going to answer all your questions of how to talk to atheists. And in the end of the day, it's not going to convince a single atheist of anything. But you'll make some money, I guess. All right, I'm done with this pinhead. Maybe I'll do part 2 later if you want. Let me know in the comments if you want me to do part 2. I'm at 6:14 now. So if you really desperately want me, it's 16 minutes and 6 seconds? Well, dude, it took me an hour to do 6 minutes. So you can do the math on that. What's 6 plus 6 is 12. So it'd be another hour for the next part. And then an extra 2 minutes. I could probably do that. I could probably do that in an hour. Maybe. Probably not. I don't know. Anyways, but if you want part 2, then remind me of the time index in the comments and I'll do part 2. If not, then don't do that. And you can comment something else if you want to comment something else. And if you don't, fine. I don't care anymore. Yeah, I don't care anymore. I got my +1 sub and I got a little bit of attention and it made me feel good. So I do appreciate when and if you do comment on my videos and or stuff that I post, because then I feel like, you care about me and I exist. But yeah, I see you in chat, so that counts too, I guess. Just, I don't know. I'm weird. Anyways, let's see what XILFX has to say. But if you're done with the video, you can be done now and hit stop. Okay, if you're still here, then I'm going to talk about whatever the bleep High Elf X said. Well, that's a hard name to say. Let's go back and see what they said. Let's see. Quantum entanglement. Okay, they're talking about quantum entanglement. Cool. Sure. No idea what the hell. Let's see. Where did that talk? Let's see. This is the thing they started on. Great way to start off the conversation. Okay, so sure. So I'm going to introduce you to a Bible that you've never heard about, the Lobsterist, and I'm going to challenge you to debunk it because nobody has. Nobody's even tried. And until you debunk it, I don't care what your stupid Bible says. How about that? So you can find the Lobsterist at this link, and I challenge you to debunk it. And until you do, I'm not going to pay attention to what your book says. Okay, so that deals with that. God is seen in the universe in all forms. I don't see any God anywhere at all, so that didn't help me. It's not eternal in regards to the universe. We don't know that. Could be. There's cosmological models that suggest that it can be seen as eternal. So I don't know. It could be. There's nothing unsound with that possibility from logical point of view, nor is it from a scientific point of view. So yeah. Interact with the science on that if you don't like it. I don't know. I'm not a cosmologist. I'm not arguing about any particular view. I'm just saying that those views exist, and this guy is acting as if they don't exist, but they do. It's finite. We don't know that in regards to the origin of the universe or how it began, because we don't know anything about that, because physics breaks down. So for all we know, the singularity might have existed forever. That would mean there was literally no cause of it, because it's always been. Roger Penrose. Okay. What about Roger Penrose? Quantum entanglement. Okay, who wrote about quantum entanglement? What does that have to do with God? All matter should matter how far. Yeah, I know quantum entanglement. Okay, yeah. So, and then he's. What would you like to see? Dan Edwards is arguing with him. I don't know who Dan is. I don't know if he's. I'm guessing he's arguing with that. Aurelia Skanks. I've never seen that name. I've never seen these names in chat. So hi, people that I've never seen. Jesus is trash. Well, that might be the case, but I think that we need to have a valid and sound argument from Jesus and not just toss him aside because, an ad hominem attack is it's not really anything. I mean, yeah, it might be true that he's trash, but he could have a valid and sound argument. So I think we should consider Jesus's arguments, whatever they might be. So Jesus, what are your arguments? I haven't heard from him myself, but quantum entanglement's been experimentally proven. Yeah, okay. I don't really know what that has to do with anything. All science suggests it has a limit. What, the universe? I don't know that it does or doesn't. I have no idea what you're saying. To say that all science does say that is a pretty big claim to make. So, if I produce even one scientific peer-reviewed paper that shows the opposite, then you're wrong about that. And that's easy to do because all I have to do is show you a paper on the hourglass universe or the antimatter universe or something like that. So if you want to stick with that claim, great. I'm going to be right very quickly. So, let's see. Logic applies to Christianity. So far this guy didn't, the video that I was responding to, he had absolutely no logic to offer us. So maybe logic applies to Christianity, but he certainly didn't do it in this video. So I would love to see logic applied to Christianity. And I don't know what you mean by that, but sure. Not that most Nobel Prize Peace Prize winners are Christian. So what? That doesn't mean anything at all. Not even a little. Most successful people are X. That doesn't mean anything. Let's see. All right. Okay, so that was it. I caught up to the real moment. I think High Elf, to be honest with you, I don't know that you have these papers to cite or not. So I sure, if you want to, I mean, I don't know why quantum entanglement matters, but if you think quantum entanglement somehow proves God, cool. Or what, disproves that the universe is eternal or could be eternal, cool, wonderful. Have you published papers on that matter, or are you citing papers? Do you understand those papers? I mean, like I said, it's out there. These cosmological arguments are out there. They're made by scientists. They're in the peer review. So I'm not saying that any of them are true. I'm just saying that they're out there. And this guy was acting like it's not. So it's remarkably easy to show that he's wrong about that, because there are still scientists saying that there's other possibilities regarding our universe and whether or not it can be seen as eternal. Perhaps our localized universe isn't eternal, but a hourglass universe is basically, our universe is at the end of a different universe. So I don't know if you would say that that's two universes or if it's the same universe. I don't know. It's technically, I guess it's two universes, but if one universe is collapsing and the collapse of that universe makes a new universe, then okay, cool. So this universe has a finite end or beginning, and then that universe had I don't know. So it just depends how you frame what eternal means and what you mean by universe and a lot of things like that. But I don't think he had any of that nuance in his video, not even a little bit. But I'm not married to any particular cosmological model out there. I don't know. I'm happy to not know in regards to those things. I mean, I love learning about them, but I don't know which one happens to be the true nature of reality, because I haven't figured out the true nature of reality despite my best efforts. Now, the Lobsterist, of course, as I referenced you, does reveal the true nature of reality, but you have to read it for yourself. Then you'll understand why it does that. Until you do read it, well, then you won't know the true nature of reality. But I know the true nature of reality. Trust me, bro. And until you debunk the lobsters, well, obviously then I must be right and you must be wrong, because that's how that works. Now, if you want to object to that, then you'll have to do so on a logical basis, which means you'll have to understand informal logic, which I'm sure you absolutely do, right? The fact that we have organization on all level of existence shows a mind guarding its direction, much like our mind co-creates our environment to suit us. If we have a mind, there must be a mind beyond us. Okay, so do we have organization on all level of existence? What the hell does that mean? I don't know what that means. Do we have organization? What do you mean by organization? So this is an association causation attempt. So you have things that you think are organized, and you think that that's on all levels, which is an extraordinary statement to make, because now you have to show all of reality. Good luck with that. So I would advise you to rephrase this and say, I have observed multiple times where this is true. See, that way you avoid the superlative of all. When you say all or none or everywhere or nowhere, these superlatives require you then to acquire an unsupportable burden of proof that nobody could do. Nobody could hope to fulfill it. Now, there are some superlatives that we can do, like all men are mortal. But we can only do that because it's been demonstrably true that all men are indeed mortal. So unless you have something that is beyond demonstrably demonstrated to be true, then I would say within a logical argument, you don't want to make a superlative statement like all organization on all levels is always this way, unless you can adequately demonstrate that to be true, which would require, I would think, endless amounts of work on your end, because you'd have to show everything that there is about everything to make that statement. And since we don't know everything about everything, then you couldn't make that statement ever, could you? So perhaps then the best thing you could do is say, I've noticed that it seems to be that we have organization on multiple levels, and this is what I mean by that. Okay. And then as far as a mind guiding its direction, there's nothing to show that a mind is guiding anything regarding any of physics at all. What you mean by mind here is unclear. What we have observed is the mind is a property of the brain, as an emergent property of the brain. And we've never seen a mind that doesn't have a brain. So if you're proposing that we have a super brain out there somewhere that is indeed somehow responsible for all this, great. Demonstrate that, because you would need to do that. And until you demonstrate that there's a giant brain or a powerful brain or whatever out there doing that, then you can't say that a mind is doing anything. So what you have here is what's called a bad argument, not evidence. So then your conclusion that if we have a mind, there must be a mind beyond us does not follow from anything else that you said, because of the bad logic that preceded it. So I would suggest strongly learning informal logic, because only by doing that can you identify logical fallacies and hope to construct a proper argumentation. Because without that knowledge, you're never going to be able to construct a proper argument. At best, you're going to copy and paste what others have said, and then you're going to wind up just as bad as this guy did, or worse. And none of your bad arguments are going to convince the non-believer that your ideas are correct, because they are bad arguments. And instead, what's going to happen is people are going to point out that the argument is bad. You're not going to understand why it's bad, and you're going to walk away thinking that you won, even though you lost, and you'll never know why you lost, because you didn't bother to learn the rules of how to play the game. And I know that you haven't studied informal logic because you haven't presented a logical argument yet, nor has it been presented in a syllogistic format at all. So try again. And if you don't, and beyond just an argument, although those are interesting, I'd rather have actual evidence of this mind that you're talking about. Do you have actual evidence that that thing is a thing in the first place, or is this mere conjecture on your part? If it's mere conjecture, I don't care. But if you don't have actual evidence that the thing is a thing, then all you're talking about is something that you've made up that you think explains things, but actually doesn't explain anything. So you don't have proof. You don't have evidence. You don't have empirical tests, or you don't have empirical evidence. You don't have a repeatable test. And You haven't offered a valid and sound argument. In fact, you haven't even offered a valid argument, and you can't do that unless you learn informal logic. As far as the science go, you might know a little bit about science, but unless you've written peer-reviewed papers on the matter, whatever. Or if you haven't written peer-reviewed papers on the matter, if you want to cite papers on the matter, great, wonderful, terrific. I don't really care unless it's directly linked to your belief in God and proves that God's a thing, if that's indeed what you're trying to do. Because that's it. That's what this is. If you're trying to convince atheists that there's a God, what we need is God. That's it. And not an argument. We actually need the God. So it's very simple. When you have the real thing to actually offer, it goes like this. I have a blue stuffed sheep from the game Minecraft. There it is. That was really simple. So where's God? Can't be done. Nobody's ever done it. That's why there are atheists. Because the God isn't there to show. It's an abstract object of the mind. That's what God actually is. And an abstract object of the mind, similar to numbers, letters, or musical notes. It exists only in your mind, and the moment you stop believing it, it's gone. So all those gods that used to exist that people don't really believe in anymore, those gods are effectively dead. Nobody cares about them. The Aztec gods, who cares? You can't even name them. Now we know about Zeus, but only because the stories were kind of interesting, so we kept talking about it, even though I don't think maybe a couple people believe in Zeus, But Thor's day survived somehow because Thor was kind of interesting. So that lived a while. So we have that meme still running around. We have some ancient gods that are still out there that people can name, but there's many, many more gods that we can't name. And there's many gods and many ideas of spirits and things and weird stories that people have created in the past and in the present to explain all sorts of natural phenomena. Well, what's interesting to me is that every single time we humans have tried to explain the natural by appealing to God, it turned out that we didn't need God to explain anything. So, I don't know. It just seems to me that I don't think we're ever going to need God to explain diddly or squat ever. And even if we did need God, that we would still need evidence for God, which we don't have. But you do have an idea of God. You have a concept of God. And that in and of itself is interesting, as long as you're willing to admit that's all it is. A concept, a belief, a faith, not a fact. And I'd rather have fact than faith. Anyways, if you want to talk about your stuff, feel free to email me. That's deconvertedman1@gmail.com. We'll set up a time and day to talk at your convenience. I'm in Eastern Standard Time. But yeah, and if you don't email to me, then I guess we will talk. Until then, that's all I've got for now. And until, he's getting the articles, LOL. Was formal logic? No, what you presented was not formal logic, not even close. You didn't even get close to a formal argument. Are you kidding me? Now I'm just going to make fun of you if you're going to say that that was formal logic that you just did there. That's not even close. Not even do it in a modus ponios. Let's see it. Let's see the syllogism right now. Yeah. Anyways, he's going off to find the articles, LOL. Okay, great. Send those to me in my email. Not that I care, unless it somehow proves God. Which, I don't know. Articles. Don't send me articles. I want peer-reviewed papers, not articles. Peer-reviewed papers. So, don't send me articles. Send me peer-reviewed papers. Peer-reviewed papers. I'm sure you know how to find those. That aren't behind paywalls. You know how to find those, right? So you can send me those. Okay. If they have any relevance on your God existence. So, yeah. Okay. God bless. Runaway train, never go back. Wrong way on a one-way track. That's a handsome guy there on television. What? Oh, I should end the stream? Oh, right. I gotta say the thing. Until next time, be skeptical, and after that, stay skeptical. Look forward to my talk with XILFX, which I'm totally sure will happen.